Sit. Good. Notice how I rewarded her straight down. She was actually looking at me when I gave her the reward. There's eye contact. See, just like here. Good. I tapped her little head because she's looking at the camera person, and she looked back at me. Eye contact, straight down reward as she's looking at me. It seems like a little thing, but it's really important that you do that if you can do that, because it just makes her pay so much more attention to you over the long run. And then you find out you realize she's always staring at you. If you do that, just like I do it every time I reward her when she does a sit, I just do that, and now she's always staring at me. And that's what you want. You want the dogs always looking up at you, trying to get eye contact with you. It's a good way to teach them to love to do that. So all I did was I said SIT, she went there, I rewarded her, I just did a walk around sit stay. We don't have to say stay, there is no stay. Good, she's looking right at me. Good, and she gets her reward. She knows that sit means to stay there until she's released, so you don't have to say stay. I've never said stay once. And if I'd said SIT and she hadn't done it, I just would have pulled up with a little bit of pressure, just like that. And her butt would have gone down. As soon as her butt hit the ground, I would have released that pressure. Worst case scenario, so she got up right here. I just would have continued that pressure and eased her butt down, but you'll rarely have to do that. She's very sensitive and she knows what that means, so most of the time you just have to do that. And she's waiting to be released. Good. And the way you release her is with your right hand. She's going to be on your left, of course. With your right hand, you're going to pat her chest and say, go. And now she's free. Okay. Good. Perfect. Good. And all I did to help her with her down was just, at the same moment I said down, I just lifted my foot a little and applied a little bit of pressure to the leash, and she went straight down. Sometimes when she's in a situation where she is distracted or nervous, like when we're filming, you got this person standing above us there with a camera, she might, in situations like that, her down is not going to be as quick as you'd want it to be. If it's not, you don't even wait for her to think about it. You just reinforce that. You never repeat it. You always say it once. And then her stay is rock solid. Like I'll step out here. I can do all kinds of things. See how she's waiting. Although you want to always practice this kind of stuff in a fenced yard, just in case, just in case she breaks out of her little downstay. See, I'll walk farther away like this, come back, because you never want to drop the leash unless you're in an enclosed safe area. Good. And of course, you don't say stay. There is no stay. Down means to stay. She's waiting for you to come back and release her. So you end up saying one word, and that's down. And then she's waiting for you to come back next to her. This is the only way she ever leaves a down stay. You come back next to her like this, pat your leg and say, okay. Have her sit. And then the way to release her, you always release her out of a down, have her sit and release her out of a calm sit stay. Go, pat her chest, and see how calm she is. If you release her from a down stay like that, instead of just releasing her out of a down, she jumps up and runs around. She's just going to have a lot more of a calmer demeanor when she's finished, even though she's whining now just because she has anxiety about this whole process. But you always want to release her from a calm sit stay after a down to make sure that some of that calmness stays there from that down stay. Okay. I want to show you how I've been practicing her come command. And I'm just going to break it down step by step. If I'm ever going to practice calling her to come to me, I have the leash in my left hand. I have a reward in my right when I'm practicing. When you're not practicing and you don't have a leash and you don't have a treat, you still do this target thing, like a fist, have her come to this. She doesn't know it's empty. When you're practicing with a reward, then you're going to have something in there. But in an emergency, in a crisis situation, you're not going to have that. So you just pretend like you do, and she'll always come to this because of the way you practice with a leash and with your treat. So if I'm going to call her to come to me, I'm always going to call her when I'm practicing. I'm always going to try to call her away from something. So you don't want to call her when she's staring at you. You want to get her distracted by something. If she won't move around or go somewhere, then you create your own distraction. I'm going to toss this little reward over there. She's going to go get it. Come. I'm going to call her back to me. Good. I just threw that piece, grabbed another one out of my pouch, called her to come to me. Let's do it again. Go. Come. See how I back away? When you back away, the dog's drawn to come to you. Good. At the same moment I gave her the treat, I took the leash with my left hand, and then I could just step into her and I have her. If I wanted to have her sit, I could have her sit, you know, and whatever you were going to do next. Go. So it's backing away is really important. Whether you have a leash or not, using this target and backing away draws the dog to you. You always, when you're practicing, always call her at least when she looks away from you so that she can practice that action of being interested in something else and then turning back to you when she hears the command. And then just always make sure you practice on a leash whenever you can, because off-leash only happens when she's real perfect on-leash first. So make sure that you're really good at this and she's good at this with the leash first, so that if she ever ignores you, you can reinforce that command just by doing this little prompt. Good. Like a little tap on the leash, kind of like a tap on the shoulder. She's going to turn around, see the target, see you backing away, and she's going to run to you. So always practice your come command like that. And once she's good on a 6-foot leash, you can get a longer leash. Get a 10-foot long line or a 20-foot long line. You can practice calling her from longer distances to get her come command even better and better. I've picked somebody that Lucy does not know. Sit. And that she was just barking at a second ago. See, she's still barking, because you're going to have this issue with people coming to your house that she doesn't know. And so I picked somebody she's never met before. I'm having her sit. I gave him a treat. Go say hi, give her the treat. Hi. Come. Even if she won't take it, call her back. You know, we're using this natural balance, but you could use cheese or chicken breast or something even better. If you wanted to actually make her think this person was pretty cool, use something special. This is all we have right now, is this natural balance. Whether she barks or not, you know, she's not going to bite. And the more you do this, the calmer she'll get with new people. Go say hi. And maybe you have to walk her over like that. Now she's taking it from him. Come, call her back even before she's finished. You don't want to let her stay over there and run out of food and then get nervous. So sit. We'll do it one more time. You see how it works? It's easy with people she knows, but I wanted to pick somebody that she didn't know and where she was a little bit nervous. But because I plugged him in this routine, she's done this routine so many times, it was enough to get her over the hump. Go. Be able to go over to him, accept a treat from him. Come. Even kind of start wagging her tail a little bit. Good. He's got a treat, I've got a treat. You're having her sit. She's waiting one last time. She's waiting until you go back over, go say hi, get more treats, call her back. Come. It's a great way to practice your recall and your sit, stay, and all that as well. Sit. So that's the greeting routine. She's sit before I bring her through the doorway. I step in, then I step back. She waits for me to come back next to her. I say, okay. She walks through with me. And sometimes you have to slow down, really slow at the threshold, because that's where the dog, okay, is most likely to want to pull you through, because that's what she did so many times before she came here. So you saw how I did it. I just really reinforced that slow walk through. I'm not holding her like this. I'm doing little prompts like that. It's just like you're tapping the brakes. Okay, you're not doing it to cause pain. You're just giving her signals, just like I'm doing now, to slow down. Sit. So I have her sit in front of this mat. See, once again, I'm not restraining her. See how the leash is loose? You're never holding her in place. With my right hand, I'm going to pat her chest and say, go to your mat. Then I'm going to say down. Even though she would do it anyway, you still always want to say the command. Good. Because if she's automatically triggered to go down anyway on that mat, but you say it at the same moment, then out there, out in the real world or somewhere else, you're going to say that command and she's going to do it automatically just because you plugged it in at the right moment here. So even if you think she's going to do a sit or a down, you still say it anyway. So when she's on this mat, I just start out with really basic stuff, like a downstay. Just a basic downstay where she accepts me walking around both ways, and then you always come back to where you started in front, and you always reward from in front. Good. Put it on the mat. She waits until you put it on the mat and withdraw, and she takes it off the mat. Make sure she's not taking it out of your hand, she's not grabbing it. This is all about her being calm every step of this exercise. So watch me again. So I just have the little piece of treat between my thumb and my two first fingers here, and I just go straight down, place it on the mat. She's waiting. Good. She waited like 3 inches away, like that far away. And I said good as I withdrew, and she took it. That's exactly how you want to do it every time. So once you've kind of warmed her up just by doing some of this a few times, rewarding her, good. You have a dog right next to the camera person making noise. That's why she was distracted. Once you've done that, you can drop the leash and do things that are harder for her to handle, like walk farther away. I'm going to walk past the camera, way in the back of the house, come all the way back. And she stayed there. Of course, come back to where I started in front of her, reward. Good. Let's see what I can do. I can come over here. I can plop down on the sofa. This is usually an invitation for the dog to get up and come over, especially if you do things like this. Good. She's excited. She wanted to come over, but she can't. I didn't release her out of a downstay. So this is what's a real downstay. This is what's called a real downstay. So I'm just doing all these things that might trigger a dog to pop up somewhere. Of course, we've been practicing a lot. Good. Now I'm going to do some really hard stuff for her to handle. I'm going to step back in the back of the house, close this door behind me, and knock on it. Now, if you're ever going to do something that you think is difficult for her to handle, it's okay to remind her down. Remind her what you want her to keep doing. Knock on this door. Good. Always coming back in front, rewarding. Good. That's pretty easy for her, obviously. This is much harder, having the front door open, stepping in, stepping out. Good. Good. Now I'm going to do some harder things for her to handle. Down. Knocking on the door. Good. Good. Coming outside, knocking on the window, appearing in the window and knocking on the window, that's always a tough one. Messing with the mail slot, ringing the doorbell. Good. Double reward. Good. That was a big deal. She did really well, so I gave her a big payoff. They know the difference between portions, so if she does something exceptional like that, if she's successful, you give her a bigger reward. She'll never forget what she did to get that reward. If at any one of those times that I went somewhere, she would have popped up, I would have stayed calm, I would have come back, picked up the leash, said no. Like if she just would have stood up, I would have said no with my left foot. Just put my leash, my foot on the leash, and she would have gone back down. If she leaves the mat, I would have taken the leash, I would have stepped into her, she would have been right here. I would just walk her back onto the mat, put her back, put the leash back, do it again until she get it right. So that's what you want to do. And usually she would make some sort of mistake, but we've been practicing so much that now she's not making any mistakes. So she's all ready to come back and practice this in your living room now. And you just do this for like 5 minutes a day. And there's all kinds of things you can do in your house that I can't do here. And there's a 1,000 things you could do to try to trigger her to make her calmer and better. And all of this stabilizes her. This is a great exercise to do. Just make sure you do it every day for even just 5 minutes a day. It's fine. And she'll just keep getting calmer and calmer. The only way that she leaves this mat is when you stand next to her like this, pat your leg and say, okay. I'm going to have her sit, because we're going to go back outside again. I'm going to give her a little well-deserved free time. I always do this doorway exercise. Whenever I go through a doorway, I always do this. Takes you an extra like 6 or 8 seconds. It's nothing. And then she waits till I come back next to her. Okay. Make sure you reinforce that walking through calmly with you, like that. On the outside, you have her sit. So you don't, just ignore the jumping or whatever. You have her sit, and she's still on the clock until you have her sit and release her. So she's sitting with my right hand. I'm going to pat her chest and say, go. I'm actually just going to remove the leash so she can have some free time for a few minutes. Sit. I wanted to show you how we've been putting her in and out of her crate every day. I always have her sit in front of the crate. This door is always closed. It's closed when she's in and it's closed when she's out. So that's part of this whole little exercise. She has to sit and wait. See how she's really waiting? With your right hand, pat her chest and say, go. She's going to go in there. Can help her out if she needs a little help. There's a little treat right by the very doorway. That's why she stopped. She's going to go in. She's going to turn around to face you, and you're going to give her a treat, just like I did. Take off her leash and any little whatever collar you're using. In this case, we're using this little training collar, which you don't have to use. And I can show this to you when I come see you, but it's just a little mini training collar, which she does well without it as well now that she's had so much training. But if you want to use it, it can help you sometimes. So her routine at my house is in and out of this crate all day long. Sometimes she's in there for an hour, sometimes longer. Outside for the same period of time, in and out, in and out. Sometimes she's just outside to go to the bathroom for maybe 15 minutes or so. Sometimes she's out longer, but it's throughout the day, just in and out, in and out. And then overnight she sleeps in there. We feed her meals in there. Whenever there's an interaction between us, good. She gets a reward, good. If she tries to come out, you're going to say no and do what you just saw me do. And then good when you reward her. It's a little exercise. It's a boundary exercise. It's the same concept, good, as having her wait at the front door boundary or a curb or a gateway or any other boundary. It's very important in dog training. If you control the boundaries, you're going to have control over her, because she's going to, first of all, know that she has to look to you. That means she's not going to be racing through doorways and out into the street, or she's way less likely to be doing that, at least. And you're going to have control over her, much greater control over her. And it also makes her think that you're dominant. If you are controlling her, especially her access in and out of her den, and that's what this crate is to her, it's her bedroom, it's her den, then she's going to think you're the boss. So it's really important you do it this way. And here, she probably does what I just did 6 times a day. She sits, she waits, we open the door, we say go. She goes in, she turns around, she gets a treat, we take her leash off, we close the door. It's the same thing all throughout the day. It's a little mini training routine unto itself. So now, let's say that she's been in there for a while and I want to take her out. I'm going to put this little training collar on her. And this is a mini prong collar. The prongs are not sharp. The beauty of it is that I'm just going to keep talking while I turn this off. The beauty of it is that the collar closes with the same pressure all the way around. The back as well as the front, it's even, as opposed to a regular collar, which is just right there. And so, and you can see throughout the videos, I'm handling her very carefully, very gently. They're just little prompts, little signals. And it just makes all that. She was a big time puller when I got her. In fact, she didn't know how to walk on a leash at all. She was pulling and, just a mess. So it really helps you, as you use it this way and the way you see me using in the videos, it helps you get her under control, and she just gets better every day you do it this way. So it's good. It would be good to use this for a while. It would help you. You just attach the leash to this collar, and you attach the leash to the funny looking buckle. The perfectly round one is just a spacer, so you leave that alone. And then I open the door, and the first thing I always do when I'm going to have any interaction with her in the crate is I give her a treat. So she's munching on a treat right now. That way she's always going to love to see your hands coming and to see this leash and collar coming. And I just attach that, and it's really easy. Once you get used to doing it, you don't have to look, you can just do it by feel. So she's all hooked up now. She's waiting at the boundary. If she tries to come out, you say no. Do that little, what I call a little token slam there. If she waits, good, she gets another reward. And then she's waiting for you to actually pat your leg and say, okay, and she'll come out. And then if you do this little circle here, just a little left turn and go back and close that door. And she's really excited. She does this a lot when she's going to go outside. Sit. Once again, we're going to put her outside. This is what she does every day, all throughout the day, sitting and waiting at boundaries. Okay. Sit. Go. More free time out in the yard. And that's the crate routine.